Hello, my name is Salmon from Edukea Tanzania. I'm a History 2 teacher of advanced level. So welcome in this session. Proceed with our topic, which is threats to the world peace after the Second World War. On the last session, we ended on the causes of Suez Canal War of 1956. So let us proceed with the effects of Suez Canal War of 1956. The first effect was led to the outflow of some leaders in Western power. It means after the end of Suez Canal War, which was participated by almost 4 nations, which include Britain, France, Egypt, and other Arab nations, led to the outflow of some leaders in Western power. For example, the British Prime Minister Anthony Eden was overthrown because he was supporting the Egyptian action to nationalize the Suez Canal to his government by the Egyptian president. Another effect led to the decline of British imperialism. It means after the end of Suez Canal War led to the British to know that the rule in Egypt was over. So the British imperialism in Middle East, especially Egypt, was got to the end, and that Britain decided to remove our troops and to leave Egypt as independent place. Another effect led to the intensification of Arab unity and nationalism. It means after the end of Suez Canal War in 1956, intensified the union between Arabs or Arabic nations. For example, union between Syria and Egypt, which created the United Arab Republic in 1958. It means that war necessitated or led to the unification among the Arabic or Arab nations, like the union between Syria and Egypt in 1958. Another was it upgraded the NASA status or the Egypt president status. This was due to the defeating Britain and France during that war, whereby the Egyptian president or Egyptian president got the status and was able to defeat the imperialistic powers during that war, so that Abdul Nasser led to the getting high status. You can see that Nasser was defeated the imperialistic powers. And another, it boosted the anti-colonial struggle. It means that the Suez Canal War, which was occurred in 1956, boosted the anti-colonial struggles, whereby the Egyptian president Abdel Nasser was supporting the anti-colonial struggles in different countries. For example, in Ghana, whereby Kwame Nkrumah was supported by Egyptian president in moral and material. But in Algeria, to remove the French domination, was supported by the Egyptian government and the Abdel Nasser as president. So these were the effects of Suez Canal War of 1956. Let us see the Six-Day War of 1967. This was the third Arab-Jewish war, which was fought between Israel and the neighboring Arab states of Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. It means that this was the war which was fought in this year, and it was fought in 60 days, from 5th to 10th June in 1967. You can see that this war was fought within 6 days. That included or that war was involved the fight or the war between Israel and the neighboring Arabs towards the Arabs, towards the Jews. And those nations which were involved were Egypt, Syria, and Jordan against Israel. It took place from 5th to 10th June 1967 and fought for only 6 days. The war began when Israeli military forces launched surprise air attacks against the Arab forces. It means that the war began when Israeli military forces did the surprise air attacks towards or against the Arab forces, and on other Arab states such as Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco contributed troops and arms to their fellow Arabs. It means after the attack by Israeli army to make a surprise attack on air towards the Egyptian forces, led to the other Arab nations like Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco to contribute troops and arms to their fellow Arabs to fight that war. After looking a short explanation about 6-Day War of 1967, let us see the causes of 6-Day War of 1967. The first cause was Egypt's expelling of UN peacekeepers. It means that the war resulted after the Egypt government to expel the UN peacekeepers who were along the Sinai Peninsula and the bank of River Jordan. So these were the peacekeepers who were placed by UN to keep peace in Middle East, followed by the Suez Canals that led to the occurrence of 6-Day War of 1967. Another was Abdel Nasser's speech in 1967. The Abdel Nasser speech was contributed to the occurrence of 6-Day War. Another, Israel's participation in the Suez Canal War of 1956. It means that the participation of Israel during the Suez Canal War of 1956 led to the taking of revenge by the Egyptian government when the Suez Canal was involving 3 countries, Britain, France against Egypt. So in one way or another, Israel was participating to support the imperialist powers, Britain and France, and that led to the anger of Egyptian government to revenge towards Israel, so that the occurrence of 6-Day War of 1967. Another was Syrian Defense Minister's speech of May 1967, as he said that I, as a military man, believe that the time has come to enter into a battle with Israel. So this was the speech which was pronounced by the Syrian Defense Minister's speech. Syrian Defense Minister on May 1967. So, due to that speech which was denounced by the Syrian Defense Minister, led to the attention to Israeli army to get ready for the war, and that led to the outbreak of 6-Day War of 1967. Another was Cold War politics. For example, Soviet Union supported Egypt and supplied aircraft to bomb Jewish settlement from Golan Heights and west bank of River Jordan and the Gulf of Aqaba. It means that the Cold War politics, whereby the Soviet Union were supporting Egypt and they supplied aircraft to bomb the Israeli settlement, whereby those aircraft bombing of Jewish settlement came from Golan Heights, the west bank of Jordan and the Gulf of Aqaba. Another cause, or the last cause of Six-Day War, was the question of mistreatment of Arab ordinary people. It means the question of mistreatment of ordinary Arab people, which was resulted from the Suez Canal War. It means the Suez Canal War led to the refugees that were thought the settlement in Egypt, that led in Israel. So the settlement in Israel, that were those Arabs who were thought the settlement in Israel were mistreated by the Jews. So that led to the occurrence of Six-Day War as a response to rescue their fellow Arabs who were mistreated and persecuted by the Jews in Israel. Hence the occurrence of Six-Day War. Let us see the effects of Six-Day War. The first one was led to the growing Israeli territory. The growing of Israeli territory. It means that after the Six-Day War of 1967, the war led to the Israel to defeat in that war. So the territory of Israel was growth or increased, because there are some refugees or the war captives which were under the control of Israeli army. Another effect led to the occurrence of refugees. It means as the war occurred in any place, will lead to the occurrence of refugees who will migrate from the area where war was taking place to another area to seek for peace and stability. So that war led to the occurrence of refugees, whereby the Arabs were moved from their areas to seek another settlement in other areas in Israel. Another effect, it led to the Israel's military occupation over Jerusalem, Sinai Peninsula, the bank of Jordan River, and the Golan Heights. So these were the military occupation which done after the Six-Day War during the 1967. So you can see the Israeli military got the occupation on these areas. Yes, after looking the effects of Six-Day War, let us go to another conflicts or Jewish-Arab wars which occurred after the creation of Israeli state in 1948, which is the Yom Kippur War. The Yom Kippur War of 1973. Yom Kippur War of 1973 referred to the fourth Arab-Jewish war fought between Arab states led by Egypt under the presidency of Anwar el-Sadat against Israel. It means that they refer to the first Arab-Jewish war, which was fought between the Egypt government under the presidency of Anwar el-Sadat against Israel. It means that the war was fought on 5th October 1973, the Israelis' earliest day. It means the war was fought in the day of Israel. It means it was the holy day of Israel. The war was started when the Egyptian President El Sadat organized his fellow Arabs or Arab states, including Palestine Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat, to attack Israel on their holiday in 1973. It means that war was started after the Egyptian President El Sadat to organize his fellow Arabs by influencing the Palestinian Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat to attack the Israel on their all-day war in 1973. So this was the short explanation about the Yom Kippur War of 1973. So let us see the causes of the Yom Kippur War of 1973. The first cause was Arabs' revenge movement. It means that the Arabs were seeking for the revenge over restoring their conquered areas during the 6-day war, whereby the banks of River Jordan was conquered by the Israel, and the Sinai Peninsula was conquered during the 60-day war, as well as the Golan Heights were conquered by the Israeli military. So the Arabs were on the revenge to restore their conquered areas. Another cause was the role of Egyptian president. The role of Egyptian president played a vital role on the occurrence of Yom Kippur War, whereby the Egyptian president El Sadat organized the Palestine Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat to attack their enemy Israel during their holiday in 1973. So you can see how Egyptian president led to the occurrence of Yom Kippur War in that year. Another was the continuation of terrorism attack. It means that the occurrence of war was accelerated or led by the continuous terrorist attack which was done by both sides, whereby the Israel were attacking the Arabs, and on the other side Arabs were attacking the Israel. So that action of terrorism actions or terrorist events that accelerated to the occurrence of Yom Kippur War of 1973. And the last cause of the Yom Kippur War was intensive injustice of the Palestinians by the Israel. It means that after the 6-day war and the Suez War, many Palestinians were fled or were migrated from Palestine to Israel to seek for peace and stability. So they were like refugees, or they were refugees in Israel. So those Palestinians were mistreated and persecuted, and they were taken as an important group of people. So that accelerated to the anger, on the Arabs, and that led to pronounce the Yom Kippur War to attack the Israel in order to rescue their people or Palestinians who were mistreated and persecuted by the Israel or by the Jews. So these were the causes of the Yom Kippur War. Let us see the exercise which comprises the one question. It is show the effects of the Yom Kippur War of 1973. 6 points. So you have to explore yourself the effects of that war. Until there, this is the end of our lesson. So thank you for listening me and watching me. So welcome in another session, and thank you for choosing Edukea Tanzania for the best choice. Bye bye.